Yo, everyone. Hope you're having a great morning, afternoon, night, whatever time it is for you. I appreciate you tuning in and pressing on this video, taking time out of your day to watch me talk. Appreciate that. So, anyways, I want to get into today's video. I want to get back into making like some of the older content that I used to make, just talking about, like struggles at 18 or things of that nature. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to talk about today. Today, I'm going to talk about just a couple of struggles that I've noticed becoming, you know, an adult by age, considered by age, and just how, turning 18 has changed life, things like that. So, yeah. Um, let's see. Is there anything I want to say before I start talking about everything? Um, the most important thing, I think, one thing I know at 18 is the most important thing is my faith. There's nothing that I try to put absolutely nothing above my faith and before Christ. That is the most important thing, I think, to every human. Everybody has different beliefs and everything. But yeah, that's what I'll say before I start. Anyways, it says, what did I expect life to feel like at 18? Honestly, coming into the age of 18, I expected everything to be very smooth. I expected everything to just flow smoothly. Everything will pick up pretty quick. That's what I expected. Um, I knew things could not go, not turn out as planned. I understood that things probably wouldn't go smoothly, but I expected them to. I try to expect everything to somewhat just go smoothly. You know, I'm aware of what can go wrong in things, but I look for the greater in them. I look for them to just go smooth, because why not? Why expect everything to just go bad, right? Like, I expected to know exactly what I wanted. I expected to know, you know, how I was going to move out. I expected to know the way I was going to make money and everything. And then when it came, it was like everything sort of just paused, and then I didn't know. But now I'm back in a position where I sort of, I'm working for something, you know, and that's great. That's a problem now that I think about it, that most people my age have, is they have no idea. They have no idea what they want. They have no idea how to get it. You know, I think there's just so many misconceptions about like what it really is like to start becoming an adult. What are the right moves to make? Because nobody teaches this crap in school. Dude, I still have not gone on my long rant about why school is just terrible, but maybe in another video. Anyways, yeah. So I expected it to go smoothly. You know, I didn't expect it to be, I guess, as difficult as it is, because nobody is coming to save you, man. That's like, I think as kids growing up, we just want everything handed to us, and that's not the case. That's not the case. But, you know, that's just something that we all have to get used to. We all have to be able to eventually provide for ourselves. We all come from getting everything provided to us from our parents. So I think everybody deals with that. Everybody wants everything handed to them. But, we got to put in our own work, And anyways, yeah. So, second thing I have here is struggle with pressure of success. The struggle of pressure when it comes to success. Yeah. Um me, I would say I have this more and less than the typical 18-year-old. For me personally, I I do feel a huge, somewhat of a huge pressure to be this successful version of myself that sort of everyone around me feels I will be. I feel I'll be successful as well. But, I have put just when it comes to my social medias and everything, how I handle, how I carry myself, even around people, I feel like everybody sort of has an idea of where I'll go in life already. So to live up to that is, it can be pressuring whenever nobody knows what's going on in your life. They just expect to see you winning. Nobody knows the struggle that I may go through or you. Nobody may know, what's on your mind daily, and that's what makes a person is the thoughts they have daily or just things that they're running into on a day-to-day basis, and that affects you. That affects the work that you do, the results that you have. So, I have felt sort of huge pressure to be successful, but I also know that it takes time. You cannot rush this process of it can go quickly. Like it can happen quickly, but I don't think you can really rush it, like, oh, let me rush to be successful. Like, and plus I'd rather just take my time. I'd rather find the thing that I actually enjoy doing. I'd rather be like 25 and finally figuring out what I enjoy than just jumping into something that I don't enjoy too much and then at 25 making a decent amount of money but hating my life. Like that's just not a good trade-off. So I have definitely felt a pretty huge pressure, especially recently, since the year's coming to an end already. I am as old as I've ever been. I'm only gonna grow older, and yeah, man, like it's. I feel like if you let it be, it will be a huge, huge just mental pressure if you allow it to. I try not to allow it to. Because like that, dude, there are people when you think about it, think about there are people that are 30 years old and broke. And this isn't all just about money and stuff, but there are people who are 30 and have zero self-control. There are people who are 50 and have zero self-control because I know those people, trust me. So it's like, dude, I'm not in that bad of a position, really. Like if you really think about it, that relieves a lot of the stress and pressure off of me. It's like it's not that big of a deal. Like really. Um and about just other 18-year-olds other 18-year-olds nowadays, you know, a lot of them get pressured into things that they simply just don't want to do because they don't know what they want. Because since they don't know what they want, they are pressured to do whatever their parents want or people around them, and they just get pressured into doing things that they don't enjoy, and then that can ruin like the rest of a little bit. That can take a couple years. If you go into college for 4 years doing something you didn't want to do, work a job for 2 years that you didn't want to do, dude, you just took 6 years out of your 20s doing nothing because you don't even enjoy it. So, like most kids nowadays, they don't even know what they want. They just see what everyone else is doing and they do it, you know? Like, oh, all my friends are going to college, let's go to college. Or my mom wants me to go to trade school, let's go to trade school or whatever. Like kids my age, you must find what you want out of life. Like don't think about what job do I want to work. No, think about what lifestyle do you want to live and then what career or what job or whatever business or whatever can get you there. I think that's a much better way of thinking about it. I think that's what they should teach in schools. It's like, what do you want out of life? Do you not care about certain things? Do you care about certain things? And then make your life decisions and jobs based off of that. I think that's a much easier way to go about it. So yeah, 3, I have how do I handle it when I'm feeling stuck or lost? Yeah, this is I feel like especially 18-year-old men struggle with this a lot. I think it's a lot worse for men than it is for women. And yes, women have it hard too. Like everybody's life is hard. Like we can all accept that fact. Life sucks sometimes. Everybody has a hard life. But especially when it comes to just feeling stuck or lost, you know, because when you're feeling stuck or lost, it's because of you. It's because there's something in you that's blocking, the gears from continuing to spin. There's something there that's, you know, typically when somebody at 18 is lost or stuck, it's because they don't have clarity in something. I think that's a great way to put it is there's not enough clarity because all the times that I always find myself stuck or sort of just lost in the sauce, it's like either my habits are off, either I'm still just I have a habit that is just not serving me. I have something, in the pipeline that's blocking me from pushing forward where I'm just not clear on what I want at that time in life, or I'm not clear about my future. That's usually what happens. So, usually when I feel stuck or lost, and I do feel sort of a little stuckish right now, a little in the goob. Um, and right now I can notice it's just because some of my habits are off. Some things that I just need to leave behind. So that's something that I've noticed about myself recently is just, and that's something that I've learned about myself as well. It's just whenever you're stuck or you feel lost, it's because you don't have clarity about what you want or where you are, or your habits are off. Um, and I think it's too, and I think if you don't know yourself, that getting stuck or lost is even worse. Because me, at least, I know myself, like to an extent. Like I known what I've wanted out of life sort of for a while, like I know I can, tell really easily when it comes to my habits and stuff, but there are people who have no idea what they want. People who don't know themselves, people who have no idea what their habits look like or anything. So, if you're 18, you feel stuck or lost, you don't know what the heck you're doing, you want to start doing something, look at your habits, look at what time you wake up consistently and how much clarity you have about the future. Because me, I can see my future very clear. I make sure that I can always see that guy in the mirror. I always see him. I make sure I can always see who I want to be. I make sure I always can see, feel. More than see, I make sure I can always feel the emotion tied to my future. And I think that that helps a ton of just knowing exactly what you want. Knowing the feelings you want to have when you're successful and rich or whatever. What do people my age get wrong about success and finding yourself? I think that a lot of people nowadays at around my age, I think what they get wrong about success and finding yourself, because I've had a lot of this sort of talk with my mentor. I've had tons of conversations about myself and who I think I am, and I've had a lot of time to think about it and think about what success is, what all of that. So the thing about success that people get wrong in my age is they don't know what success is. They don't know that success is different for everybody. That you have your own success in life, because they may tie success with somebody else's view of success. Like they may take their mom's view of success or their friend's view of success, which is maybe different from what they want. So yeah, get that people my age get that wrong about success so much, is that success is just the things that I want, the things that I actually desire, rather than, oh, this is what success looks like for that person. Since I don't know any better, let me just make that my success now. And honestly, most people my age don't even take time to find themselves. Like, don't get me wrong, I feel like there's a lot of people sort of growing up in high school, especially that I grew up around, that sort of knew who they were to an extent. I don't know if that was just because they were comfortable around other people or what, but no, because now that I think about it, just because you can talk in a crowd doesn't mean you know yourself. Because no, most people nowadays my age, they don't even take time to find out what they like, who they are, what's their crowd of people, what do they enjoy talking about, what do they enjoy hearing about, like most people at 18 don't care about that stuff. And I think that that's important. I don't think it just that is important. You need to know more about yourself, especially at a younger age, so that you can make decisions not only much better for yourself, okay, but you're going to have a much easier time figuring out what you actually want out of life since you know yourself. Like, I know myself. I don't, you know, I'm not gonna get into that. I know myself. I know what I want out of my future and everything like that. So it makes it so much easier to make decisions, like just general life decisions. Like, I'm not gonna go and, like, if somebody offered me a 4-year scholarship, but I had to go study chemistry, it's like, wow, that's a great opportunity if I liked chemistry. But I'm not gonna go waste 4 years studying chemistry. That just makes no sense because it doesn't align with what I want in my future. So that's what I mean there. Um, and last one, how has faith played a role? This is how I'm gonna end off my video. Faith has played just the biggest role in my life. Um, I think more younger people, especially nowadays, need to be more actively in faith and, practicing it a lot more. I could more as well. But no, this generation's pretty cooked. Pretty cooked. I mean, if you look at it, there's like, dude, kids murdering kids. I mean, it's crazy. Like it is crazy the world we live in today, especially when it comes to the youth. But, God just gives you a sense of direction. You know, Following God is not easy. I will say that. Like, it is not easy. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. It's going to suck at times. You're not going to want to do it all the time. But it leads to eternal life. And it is very important. It's played a very important role in my life. Not only that, but, as young adults, we need somebody to talk to a lot. And God is that somebody that we can always talk to. So that's another huge thing about it is, God has been something that I can talk to. I literally have you can't see it, but it's on this, it's right there. It's Luke 18:1. Never give up. If you can't handle your problems, remember you can say all your problems to God. So, if you ever need somebody to talk to, God is the one that you can go to. And yeah, so faith has just played a role. It's just faith is just the most important thing. Like I don't know what else really to say. It's helped me in everything, every possible way of life, you know. And I feel like sometimes, especially nowadays, there's, people fall into the trap of trying to personal develop rather than build a relationship with God. And that's something that I was doing also for a long time, is putting my personal development over God and just trying to become this crazy, disciplined person without God there. And that drives you nuts. Like, I will tell you, that will drive you nuts. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. A couple of things that, if you're not 18 yet, or you are, things that you may struggle with. Maybe this video helped. I don't know. I enjoyed making this video though. But I appreciate all of you. Appreciate your time. Peace.